Timothy Zahn mentioned a few times about that grass that was cutting them. And that made me think...
Like the razor grass or something.
I was like, grass MacGuffin?
That's going to be Thrawn's downfall.
He's going to trip and get stabbed on the grass.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? A brilliant leader just kind of gets tangled up some grass and dies. Just gets stuck and no one's around to help him.
Yeah.
Hello there. You found the Lost Holocron, an ancient artifact of lore and legends from a galaxy far, far away. Each transmission of the Lost Holocron, you will join an episodic discussion of media from the Star Wars universe. We will be your guides. Tim?
Ahoy.
Kyle?
Project Adam, do it. Do it.
I'm Scott. And we have Stuart.
Howdy.
Today we will be covering the material up to and including Chapter 23 of Heir to the Empire. So, Tim, tell us what happened so far.
Well, Luke Skywalker is disarmed and immobilized in a sequence of events leading to his capture by smuggling Lord Talon Karrde and his lieutenant, Mara Jade. While appraising the situation, Karrde finds himself playing host to New Republic representatives. Offworld, Leia Organa-Solo has gone to ground on the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk with Chewbacca, but she has already spotted one of her attempted kidnappers. Han Solo and Lando Calrissian fail to convince Karrde to provide logistical support for the New Republic, but during dinner, Grand Admiral Thrawn announces his own visitation. Karrde hurries them out of dinner to receive the Grand Admiral. Luke escapes his confinement and steals a Skipray, but Jade is not far behind. Stuart, what happened this chapter?
Chapter 23, we have Luke has made his escape attempt in a stolen Skipray, but Jade is in hot pursuit. He skims the tree canopy to avoid notice from the Imperials coming into land from orbit. I wrote this. Why can't I read this? Just as he's about to pull a maneuver to shake Jade from his tail, he clips the trees and crashes into the forest. Back at the compound, Karrde receives Thrawn's landing party. Unaware of the crash, Karrde is unable to refuse the ostensible repayment for supplying Thrawn with Isla Miri. Thrawn orders his already prepared troops to investigate the crash. From behind the tree line, Han and Lando watch the conversation. Their chaperone, the Slicer Ghent, is anxious to get them back to the cover and safety of the Falcon. Ghent has little to offer to appease their curiosity, but it is enough for Han and Lando to investigate elsewhere. At the crash site, Luke returns to consciousness unharmed. Before he can escape, his moral compunction presses him to check on Jade, only for her to be lying in wait for such Jedi drivel. As they leave the ruined craft, Jade hears approaching ships that she recognizes an Imperial. They hide as the crash is searched and left. Luke struggles to convince Jade to keep him alive for the long trek to salvation. She's reluctantly won over by the necessity to send an encrypted transmission to Karrde using the idiosyncratic encoding shared between R2-D2 and Luke's captured X-Wing.
I thought Luke was going to go straight up. I didn't think he was just going to start going in a random direction and then hit some trees.
Well, okay, so you know what I was thinking? This is probably the first time he's ever flown without any kind of connection to the Force.
Oh, okay.
I was like, he gets into the cockpit thinking, oh, this is a piece of cake. I can fly, no problem. But then, even when he was just a little kid on Tatooine shooting womp rats with his T-16, he still had some kind of connection to the Force, whether he knew it or not, right?
He had performance-enhancing drugs his whole life.
Exactly. Exactly.
And he's crashing hard.
Literally doping on the Force.
Yep.
He had nemesis on, and now he doesn't have it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, so, yeah, because I thought it was funny that he said he was playing with it a little bit, and he was like, oh, yeah, this is kind of like the snow speeders on Hoth.
Yeah, they're kind of heavy and clunky.
I can kind of feel like this. Oh, yeah, I could probably master this with, this is the first time he's doing this. He's saying that he can master the flying of this craft, and then immediately crashes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was really funny.
What do they say? How Mara got caught up in what was it? The tailspin or tailwind or something?
He crashed so hard, he crashed her too.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It's like the what was it? It was the tailwind, the tail current of the craft. She was flying that close to him.
She was like drafting behind him, and
yeah, the what would you call that? The tail. It's a tailwind,
Tailwind?
right?
The draft.
The draft. All the eddies behind the craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That as he crashed, it was such turbulence in the air that she also crashed.
Well, I also imagine them being among a lot of trees, right? Wouldn't the trees kind of obstruct all the tailwind and everything?
That's interesting. I think none of us are fluid dynamic physicists, so it's hard to tell that interaction between the tree canopy and the...
I just imagine the trees obstructing most of the tailwind and it not being that big of a deal for her. I don't know. That's just what I'm imagining in my head. But
Let's contact Timothy Zahn right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Speaking of the canopy, they talk about how dense the canopy is constantly.
Right.
How did they survive this crash and not hit 40 trees on the way down?
I don't know.
There was more technobabble about inertial dampeners and some sort of like futuristic airbag as well. I can't remember the phrase that they used, but they did say that
There was
some sort of balloon.
Yeah. Well, and these trees are apparently they're all metal, or they have metal within them somehow.
Yeah,
so it seems like it would be
right,
10 times as hard to hit one of these trees.
Oh, Magneto would have a field day on this planet.
Oh, right?
Yeah, so they must have really great safety precautions on these shuttles.
Amazing.
Well, are they? They're not shuttles, are they? They're some sort of
Skipcraft?
Skipray blast boats. So are they fighters or?
I don't know why. I just picture those boats that they use in swamps that have the giant fan on the back of them.
Well, I was thinking of the little hover barge thing that they had above the Sarlacc in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking of maybe that was a Skipray or Skipcraft, but then it sounded like it was a lot more enclosed after he crashed.
Wait, we have we have technology. We can look up what it looks like.
Yeah,
No way.
it says it's a heavy starfighter.
I was imagining a starfighter with some extra cargo space on it.
It kind of looks like
Yeah.
a fish.
A fish?
A little bit, yeah, because it did say that it had a dorsal, ventral. The ventral
that.
tail was the thing that got caught.
Right.
Oh, that's what
And
they're flying.
I think
Ew.
they did mention a dorsal fin of some type, like a
It has an ugly spaceship.
dorsal wing.
I'm sorry,
like
guys.
a dorsal wing. Ugly.
Yeah, it looks terrible.
The powerful Skipray blast boat.
Yeah.
Powerful. To the Wikipedia. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, right?
This also says class as heavy starfighter.
It doesn't look very big or heavy, but that tail thing in the back is just weird.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not digging this.
No.
Yeah. The
Ooh, they have a
starfighter
deck plan.
is a
Okay, so
small
it has some
maneuverable
seats in the
starship
back.
designed for combat. So it is designed for combat.
Yeah, and it has a few seats in the back alongside the main cockpit.
So it must be bigger than an X-wing, right? I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Definitely.
I like how the price of it is here.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
285,000 credits.
I can get one used for 150,000 credits.
Exactly.
The Imperial
Oh, yeah.
Source Book Second Edition is apparently the source of that that price.
Oh, there's a canon article. So it made it into canon.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sweet.
The canon article is a single sentence.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No. This is not for multiple people. It says minimum crew 1, passengers none.
Yeah. If you look at the size of the windshield cockpit area, it looks like it can only hold one person, maybe two at the most. But
No, but they have a flight deck plan.
Oh, they actually no. It does also say crew 1 pilot, 1 co-pilot, 2 gunners.
2 gunners.
Ah, there you go.
Oh, okay. It doesn't look much bigger than a snowspeeder, but I guess if they can hold 2 more people.
Oh yeah, and the tails, the tail flips around as well.
Okay, I was wondering about that. Yeah.
We were talking about starships before, but the Mandalorian's gauntlet.
Oh yeah.
So it might do a little bit of something like that, but it looks way less cool than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better in the horizontal formation rather than the vertical one.
Yeah. And Luke thinks he can master this thing when it's like spinning all around in circles and shit.
You know what? The like the main compartment of it kind of looks like the Y-wing compartment as well.
You mean like the front end?
Yeah, the front end.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a Y-wing, just with the engines all changed up.
Oh, pretty fun. This is the first appearance of this.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Heir to the Empire, first appearance.
And if you look at the quote, it says, Skipray blast boat here, unidentified Zahn Concentorium pilot.
So what I'm getting from this is that they're basically chasing each other in minivans.
Essentially.
It seems like that.
Minivans with turrets on the sides.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go down a little bit, you'll see like the side profile of it, and that doesn't look so bad.
No.
It still kind of messes with me.
A little bit. It doesn't look
My
terrible.
question for this is, what was Mara's plan? Because she was right on his ass, so she wasn't going to shoot him down. Was she just going to chase him until he was out of gas or something? I don't know.
Yeah. So was she flying the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was flying the same thing. I'm guessing that she was going to fly to disable him because you take out something like either the engines or... Because if she's quite experienced in this, she might be able to do some sort of like surgical strike on this craft to take it out of commission so that she can then board him and arrest him in the civilian sense.
Or do like a pit maneuver on him or something?
Doesn't she want to kill him?
Well, she does, but...
I mean,
Yeah,
what does
maybe
the
she
word
was-
want mean? If she wanted to, she would have by now.
Yeah. Well, even she says, we don't all get what we want.
Yeah. I mean, she also wants answers from him, so
Well, that's true too, yeah.
Oh,
she wants to
gotcha.
extract that information.
I would like answers too.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we started getting a glimpse. So,
Yeah. She's starting to crack.
yeah. And it's nice. I'm appreciating it.
Yeah. I wrote this note, but I can't remember the context, so please remind me. Something about Luke's flight hours in his X-Wing is, he said in the last 5 years, he spent 3,000 hours flying.
Oh, he was talking about the connection between R2 and the X-Wing, because she was like, how can he how can he decrypt it into the X-Wing?
Yeah, right. So, like sending the transmission to the X-Wing.
Right, okay.
If R2 sent the encrypted message up, the Imperials would have to have intercepted it as well. So they would have had to have encrypted it. She's like, oh, well, how is Karrde going to decrypt it if it's so good that the Imperials can't? So he said, I'll just have R2 link it to the X-Wing, and then the X-Wing can decrypt it.
Right.
Yeah, and so he was saying that R2's had so many hours with the X-Wing that he's made a... can't remember how she described it, but some kind of connection to it.
He basically rewrote the code of how it
Yeah,
works.
so it's exactly.
Right,
So
right.
the X-Wing and him are like buddy.
So their software is so interlinked that they can talk to each other at, was it 30% faster than?
Yeah, 30, 35 at most.
35, yep.
Yeah. Which she was impressed with.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
says, "Oh, that is something." I forgot the word she used, but yeah.
So yeah, if you consider that it's of 3,000 hours of flight time, 5 years is almost 44,000 hours. That, pretending that he sleeps for half the time, he's spending maybe 12% of his time. Because we don't, there seems to be no kind of general relativity in the Star Wars universe. There's no time dilation or anything that happens.
Right,
So
yeah.
we're assuming that he spends about 12 to 13% of his time in his X-Wing, which doesn't sound like a lot, but now that I think about it, that's like an eighth of his time, an eighth of his waking hours is spent.
Still not as much time as I spend in my car here in America.
I mean, yeah, really.
Yeah. Considering how much star travel how long it takes, an eighth of his waking hours doesn't seem like a lot to be spending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I probably spend 3 or 4 hours a day in my car.
That many?
3 or 4 hours a day. So if he spends 3 hours a day in his car, it'll take 1,000 days, which is only 3 years. So Luke is not spending so much time in his X-Wing for this weird software bug to be happening between the R2 and his X-Wing.
Well, I mean, it also really just depends because they do wipe. What was it? They wipe them. They typically wipe them every 3 to 6 months. What was it?
I thought it was 6 months.
Something like that.
And it's just he just is. All of the time he's there, R2's in there. And also, maybe R2 just kind of sits there sometimes. Yeah, that's just flying. When Luke goes out to go do something, R2 is just sitting there. He's probably not the thing.
Yeah, probably.
Getting cozy with the X-Wing.
I mean, what does R2 do? What does R2 do in his downtime?
Do droids get bored?
I don't know.
They just go into sleep mode.
Dream of a regular cheap.
Yeah,
it's probably like dogs, right? That dogs, when they're not stimulated, they go to sleep. Most animals in the wild, when they're not stimulated, they go to sleep. When my computer's not stimulated, it just goes to sleep. I think humans are pretty unique in that.
I also do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, lucky you.
I mean, humans do that too. It's only in our hyper stimulated modern lifestyle that we have to be awake for 16 hours a day, 15 hours a day.
I can barely fall asleep at night.
And so then we get down onto the forest floor. Mara Jade. I don't know how Luke didn't see that coming, that she's just waiting for him to... Because he's fine, and he thinks that her craft ended up better on the inside. He should have just booked it out of there as soon as he felt like...
Yeah. Well, Luke isn't known for critical thinking skills.
Right.
Yeah, but he thought back to what Obi-Wan said right before he died.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's an emotional decision.
I guess I gotta go check.
Yeah, no, he should have left.
Yeah. Yeah, no, very much not Luke's strong suit at all. But I did like getting a callback to something Obi-Wan said.
Yeah, and something recent too, because we talked about the last chapter of are we calling back to Return of the Jedi too much? And this time we had the callback to Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, and now we've got to call back to the beginning of the book, so that's a little bit more of a contemporary reference.
Yeah, it feels a bit more tangible from a storytelling perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Think back to that time that Obi-Wan just dipped.
Peace out.
I wonder if we're going to see any more Force Ghosts, or that's going to be it.
That would be really interesting.
Well, this is Legends. Does everyone get to be a Force Ghost, or do you have to train to be a Force Ghost?
Well, at this point, we didn't know.
I think at the time it was just supposed to be...
I think it was just supposed to be Jedi
people, just the Jedi.
And then Vader kind of was redeemed at the end of Return of the Jedi, so he showed up as a Force Ghost at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, so if we take that as reference, then if you're good, you can stick around for a bit. If you've got enough karma points.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seems like didn't Obi-Wan make a reference to say that I'm not that strong? I'm in the Force to be able to stick around. He's spent all his skill points, and now he's just going to fade away.
He invested in a different skill area.
Yeah. Oh, and he said something about moving on to the next thing. That there is something else, another great journey waiting for him.
Oh,
is there
Right. I'm looking at it right now. The distances separating us have become too great for me to appear to you in any other way. Now even this last path is being closed to me.
But what distance was it?
Well, that's how Force Ghosts talk. The decision is not mine to make. I have lingered too long already and can no longer postpone my journey from this life to what lies beyond.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
is he a reliable narrator, or is that just his perspective that we're seeing that there is something else beyond? Or is Timothy Zahn hinting at some sort of next plane of existence from the Star Wars universe?
Or is Obi-Wan bored of hanging around Luke and wants to move on to other things?
Yeah.
He wants to go do some cool ghost stuff with his cool ghost friends.
Right. Yoda got sick of his questions and just died, so maybe that's what Obi-Wan's doing.
He did die. He got asked like 6 questions and then passed away.
Yeah. I still feel like the whole Force Ghost thing still isn't like quite clear even in canon now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's up high on their priority list at the moment.
Yeah.
Next one is just all going to be about Force Ghosts. It's going to be a Force Ghost adventure.
I would honestly be down, actually.
Ooh, Force Ghostbusters. Ooh, that was...
It's a dark side cult that tries to dispel the ghosts of the Jedi that are trying to stick around.
Yeah, I don't think a movie would be good, but I think like a little short story
like
of
a Visions episode.
a Jedi's like path on the beginning of Force Ghost, or that's like what they see. I think it would definitely be a more of a Visions thing more than a Tales of the
We
Jedi
got
thing.
something like that in the Clone Wars with an arc that Yoda had, where he went like on a deeply spiritual journey, and at the end of it, like Qui-Gon was like, "Oh, hey, here's how you become a Force Ghost," basically.
They're probably one of the
remember
best
that.
arcs in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And then he has to fight Dark Yoda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
But I'd be down for like a trippy next plane of existence Force Ghost adventure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be hilarious if like none of them could understand each other though, because of the way Force Ghosts talk.
Uh-huh.
But I do like that moment of Luke referring back to it and being like, "Oh, this is the kind of person I'm gonna be. This is the kind of space pope I'm gonna be." And then Mara's just like, "Nah."
Do you think she tipped her hand a little bit too much when she used the lightsaber to chop up the tree?
Yeah. Although I don't know if she cares at this point.
No, yeah, she's...
I think she's very much trying to prove herself to Luke in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it does feel a little bit like schoolyard aggression.
Like she's overcompensating.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, she did mention that she also was doing it to show off that she did know how to use it.
But that's what I'm thinking. Like, is that too much showing a hand of like who she used to be to this guy that supposedly means nothing to, but also everything?
Right.
He had to have wounded her pride like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the previous chapter, we did bemoan her, say, being angry at the universe, but I do feel like, yeah, she is very angry at the universe. She's feels very impotent. She's been stripped of everything, and yeah, she's just somebody angry at a whole loss of power and has, trying to take it out in any way she can.
She just happens to be expressing it in a very memeable way.
Mm.
Yeah, honestly, it is a bit confusing. I mean, I guess it's me personally. If I did have my life completely ruined, and there was somebody I felt is so responsible for it, it would just be, I'm either going to move on and do what I can in my new life, which she has, it sounds like she has a good life now.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And she isn't letting this go. So, I don't know. The fact that she has questions, it's like you're dragging this out a little too long.
She must have a dark side background.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Luke wasn't a part of this, would she use her position with Karrde to eventually pursue him at some point? Or would she just let him go and forget about him?
Oh, I see. That's a good question. Did she move on and then he showed up and now she's mad again?
I'm kind of thinking that.
Because that's fair. I'd get that.
Yeah, totally. I think it'd be, given that Luke is extremely famous in this universe, it'd be hard to move on from that. And her moving out into the middle of nowhere with some independent contractor is part of that, trying to move on and just get away from it all. And then Luke just keeps pushing herself into his life.
That's a good point. Yeah, because he got a major governmental position.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
And now she's going outside of that system.
That's true.
Yeah.
And if he's a space pope, then he better have some really good space pope mobile with bulletproof glass and blaster proof, lightsaber proof, whatever, born screw proof glass. So,
The New Republic doesn't have the budget.
That was another line that I thought was super interesting in this chapter is that Maru said that that he was more than just his last name. But it was just like, I thought Skywalker was just like a nothing name. Is it the fact that there are now two notable Skywalkers, or?
I don't know. I thought that too, because I thought it was supposed to be a pretty common name, but you know what? There's like no other Jedi in the history of Jedi with Skywalker, unrelated. Or there's no other famous characters in any of the stories with, I mean, why would they write that, But still, it's just, I don't know. It's a little odd, but...
I interpret it as like he just became like such a well-known figure and almost a legend to like the whole galaxy.
Yeah.
And I thought she was thinking that maybe just that like one or two accomplishments was like all there was to him. And now she's like, oh, he can do some things.
He peaked in high school.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, these two chapters really hopped between them.
Yeah, it kind of pulls back to what I said in the last chapter, that like there are so many points of view in this that it kind of seems like a little bit of arbitrage with where they're trying to draw the narrative line of like, this is the next chapter and this is the next chapter, because like, I don't know enough about where people draw these lines, or like that people structure chapters in a particular way that has its own kind of circle to it in storytelling. But I don't know, Tim, did you study anything like that?
I did, and I realized it was all bull.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Or realize it. The thing I first think of is like the 3-act structure with screenwriting, and the structure itself gets hammered in so much to people, and I feel like it's quite popular because if you're like a film producer and you're focusing more on the business and just getting movies made, then I know like what an act is. I know what each one's supposed to look like. I know where they're supposed to end. And if a script fits these few beats, then it's a good one. I can invest in it, and I don't have to spend much time, studying it, basically. Put that much effort. But there are plenty of movies that I think fit that are just not that engaging. And that's because I feel like the structure gets emphasized so much that the momentum of the story, or like character psychology and how it naturally develops, just kind of falls by the wayside, or sometimes gets manipulated in order to fit that structure in a way that feels inorganic. So I am very anti-structuralist.
No, I love movies, and I watched Skin of a Rank recently, and that's just a wild ride.
Oh yeah.
I have no idea what's going on half the time, but my heart's racing the entire time as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's how it should be. I mean, just focus on the scene to scene. Like, your character's feeling this right now. What are they realistically going to do next? And then just have them do that.
Yeah.
That's how Breaking Bad was written. Yeah, they made very few plans.
I know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
It's true. There are no right answers in art.
Yeah.
No, certainly not.
I mean, with I think a great example was with the Avatar series. The Avatar: The Last Airbender was planned and budgeted from start to finish. Like, when they started it, they knew that they had X amount of seasons to get this amount of story into it, and they got a good story out of it. And then with The Legend of Korra, they got approved for one season, maybe more, and they just kind of went with what they could, and it didn't turn out great.
Well, I feel like the first series also had a great attention to the detail I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the flow of the story, where characters are, what they would do next.
Yeah.
And so it felt natural. With Korra, I often felt like some things were rushed, some things were dragged out too much.
Right.
Occasionally I wondered why a character did what they did.
I still really enjoyed Korra because
It wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't terrible. I do feel like these like smaller moments in the overall story was, subject to these criticisms, as you say. But I really did like the philosophies that were at play between definitely Korra and her main antagonists during that. And I think that's what really, really struck with me, rather than any particular like scene by scene or like why the hell did the metal bending society end up wanting to force some sort of imperialism at some point. It's like, where did this come from?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right, because I do agree that, like, the villains of each season were set up to get into a really engaging philosophical conflict with Korra and challenge her in very specific ways. Particularly once you get to 3, like, a way that she needed to be challenged.
Yeah.
That's sort of an Avatar podcast.
I know, right?
They're starting back up again. I'm very excited for the new movie coming out.
You'll have to count me out of that because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Scott, you should check it out. It's a good show.
Oh, I mean, I believe it. Yeah, I don't doubt it at all.
Let's all get together and watch the new movie coming out.
I'll tell you what, Tim. If you watch Venture Brothers, I'll watch Airbender.
I will not take that bet.
Damn it.
I'm sorry, I cannot be relied on to watch any recommendations. I go with what I feel.
How many seasons of Venture Brothers is there? There's only 3 seasons of Avatar.
Was that all?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Well, once we get into Korra, there's 4 seasons, but we think of them as separate shows.
Wow, I don't know why I thought it was like a really long, like crazy long show. Venture Brothers are 7 seasons, but I mean, some of the seasons are only like 10, 15 episodes. But
granted, they're like 22 episode seasons, but they're like 30 minutes episodes.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Star Wars.
All right.
Yeah. Well, let's jump perspectives. I wanted to talk about how Timothy Zahn mentioned a few times about that grass that was cutting them, and it made me think
razor grass or something.
that it was digging into their shirts, and then it scratched him at one point, and I was like, grass MacGuffin? When is this going to come back?
That's going to be Thrawn's downfall.
He's going to trip and get stabbed on the grass. Right through his eyeballs.
Can you imagine a brilliant leader just kind of gets tangled up some grass and dies? Just gets stuck and no one's around to help him.
Or he sees one of the characters get cut and realizes they bleed the same, and he has a change of heart.
Well, I was going to say that maybe it's something that Thrawn notices, that their shirts are all scuffed in a particular way, and he's like, I know exactly how you were...
You were laying in that patch of grass 20 feet over there.
Yeah. And then that's how he realizes that Karrde is not playing straight with him and turns on him.
But, like, I mean, it was Han and Lando and Ghent there. Okay, so he would only realistically see Ghent. Because if he sees, like, Han or Lando, he's like, oh, arrest them on sight.
No. But, like, they get Offworld, right? And so Han's wearing his jacket that he never washes. And it's got the scuff marks on it from the grass that they see elsewhere in the galaxy. They meet somewhere. And he's like, hold on, I recognize that particular cut on your vest.
Right.
That was all the way from Merca. You must have been there while I was there.
He has the big brains.
I gotcha.
Had a very particular kind of weathering to say that it's been 5 months down the line. 5 months ago, I was on Merca, you were on Merca. Karrde isn't playing straight with me.
It's very funny you mentioned that Han doesn't wash clothes. I feel like Lando changes his clothes 3 times a day.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Of course he would. He has an evening cape and a morning cape.
like in Spaceballs, how the princess is carrying like the giant suitcase full of that's like Lando through the forest.
Hold on, I've got just the outfit for traipsing through the forest.
I do love how the Solo movie made him have a closet full of capes on the Falcon.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, I'm going to lay down on the grass. Okay, I got to change my shirt into my grass laying down shirt.
It's a very obscure reference, but there's a show called Class of 3000, and one of the characters changes outfits several times, and there's a point where he jumps into a swimming pool, and as he's exiting the swimming pool, he's wearing different swimming trunks.
Is it a live action thing or an animation?
No, it's an animated thing.
That's hilarious.
I did feel like in this chapter, and we've been getting more of it recently, that Han's sassiness is coming through, and it feels very Han.
It does.
He's probably less nervous now that Leia's with the Wookiees.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Exactly.
Zahn has done a good job of capturing those little mannerisms, and you made the one the comment before of like when they were on wasn't Bibfash, was it? And he's making the call to Admiral Akbar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like your tone. Well, I don't like it much either.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I do feel like he's writing him very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably feels the closest to the movies to me
Mm-hmm.
out of the characters.
Yeah.
Chewbacca feels the furthest.
Oh, okay.
Because
he's
Chewbacca
had, like,
does
4
not
lines.
talk.
We need to write little reminders or footnotes that Chewbacca is still standing in the corner menacingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I feel like R2 is more anxious in this book, as you've pointed out, Stuart, compared to the movies.
Yeah. Well, you haven't wiped your drawer. You haven't shut down your computer in 9 years, probably even longer than that.
The whole trilogy. The whole.
I mean, R2 has never had a memory wipe, right? Even in the prequels,
Yeah, I
C-3PO
believe
gets
so.
his memory wiped, but R2 doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, R2 has to tell a story, though.
He's got to win the fan fiction contest with the Wills.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I like the image of Ghent being like a little bit whiny as well in the chapter. Like, come on, we gotta go. They're gonna spot us. I don't know. It's just some Grand Admiral or something.
I gotta pee.
Yeah. He's such a teenager. Such a whiny teenager.
He's like, I'm gonna miss Avatar. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna go.
Come on, the new episode of The Lost Holocron's out. I want to go listen.
Yeah. I need to find out what's happening to me right now.
Right. You know what happens to me in the next chapter.
He's worried about his self-image. He wants to know what people think about him.
Yeah.
Oh, they're making fun of me.
Oh no. Our first negative review.
Character from
One
the
star. I don't think their opinions are based on anything real.
Yeah. Wild misinterpretations of the material.
They talked about Kirby for a long time.
I thought this was a Star Wars podcast.
Surprise. It's about everything.
Yeah.
And then Ghent doesn't know what a lizard is.
Right.
Oh,
Little furry snakes with legs.
little furry snakes with legs.
Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah, he just knows about technology. He doesn't know about biology.
Right. Well, he's got an excuse then.
And he doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut either.
Yeah.
Yeah, he talks quite a bit. Like, I feel like Han and Lando just got a lot of intel from him.
I don't know anything about a prisoner. Who mentioned a prisoner? What's going on?
Yeah, right.
It's like unsolicited
Right.
breach of information.
Oh, also, like, so do you think he doesn't recognize who Luke Skywalker is, or?
No. In the previous chapter, Karrde said that he took everybody off world who might know about what happened on his on the wild card.
Right, that's right.
And
Okay.
so the only people that are left
Yeah.
on world are either people that are in his inner circle, or people who don't know, when they arrested Luke or captured Luke or whatever.
I mean, I imagine him knowing Luke's name, but probably not what he looks like. You know, if he had heard, like, oh, they captured Luke Skywalker, maybe he would recognize it. But, I mean, at this point, I don't think he was told who they captured. But if he was eventually told, oh, they captured Luke Skywalker, he might know the name, but not, if you were to see him, I don't think he would recognize him.
No, I think Luke is more famous than that. Like, everybody
so?
would know. Yeah.
You
But
know
I mean,
what he
there's
looks
always
like,
that
yeah?
one person that like never watches the news or keeps up with pop culture.
Yeah.
But also, Ghent is a slicer, so I feel like he should be like pretty well informed.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Which of the four of us don't watch the news, Tim?
Stuart, are you saying you don't watch the news?
I don't watch the news.
I mean, I don't watch it. I just read headlines.
Yeah, I don't watch it. Every
I
once in a
can
while,
do
listen to it or whatever. Social media.
All my news comes from the people around me that just tell me stuff. Like, oh, did you know that this happened? I'm like, no, I didn't know that the Prime Minister of Japan was shot.
That sounds like a nice existence.
Yeah.
Do you recommend it?
Yeah,
Should I
no,
try
I
it?
recommend not listening to the news. Getting your news from people seems to be...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well,
If there's anything significant enough to impact my life, I'll find out about it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Going to the perspective before this one, I love that the Imperial shuttles were perfectly synchronized.
Yeah.
That seems something like exactly what Thrawn would do.
Yeah.
Wait, who's the one that made the comment about the Imperial parade?
The parade ground expertise hasn't wrote it. That was Aves? Aves?
Aves.
Whatever
Aves,
we want to call them. Yeah.
Oh, isn't Aves his like administrative assistant or something like that?
Yeah.
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 I thought it was kind of like his right-hand man or something, but
And then on top of that, there's a TIE fighter escort that goes by in equally perfect formation. I just loved that.
Yeah. Well, that kind of parade stuff is not just about looking a certain way for presentation, but it's also like a drilling tool used by the military to get subjugation of their, or like compliance from their soldiers and stuff like that. They're it's not just it's just for show. It has a lot of and that's why militaries throughout history have always had like marching and drills and stuff like that. So one, you can show it off as a kind of show of force as well, of like, oh my, look how intimidating all these people are moving in coordination, but also as a point of like military education as well. It's quite important. So for Palaeon, I think that would be particularly a point of interest, because he feels like, oh, these people are really green,
Right, yeah.
the golden age of the Empire is behind us, and we need to really like spit shine our boots and blah blah blah. So maybe Palaeon has been quite up on making sure that people are very well trained.
Right, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, yeah. But also I feel like Thrawn will be on top of that.
Yeah. No,
So
I think it's Palaeon that would be pushing that, but Thrawn will be very happy to. Is probably why he's taking Palaeon under his wing, because he sees that
True.
precision, attention to detail.
Right.
Although I'm guessing he doesn't have much of a selection of Imperial officers to.
Yeah, no, slim pickings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also I'm thoroughly enjoying like every interaction between Thrawn and Karrde now that they actually talk.
Yeah.
There's so many mind games happening.
Yeah.
yeah.
I do feel like Karrde is very much out of his depth, though. It does feel like,
Way on the defensive.
yeah, way on the defensive. Do you think that Karrde thinks that he has a chance here, or does he know that he's overwhelmed?
I don't know.
I think he's in denial about it.
I think so.
Yeah, I get that feeling too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this before or after he has his own monologue where he's like,
Right.
Oh, that's the next chapter.
oh,
Yeah.
then I don't know. I think he can pull it off. He has to have a backup plan. He seems like a smart enough, well organized person, and like he has to have like base B and C floating around there somewhere.
I think he's slowly starting to recognize that you can't play with both sides when one side is a fascist.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't think it's the fascism that makes Thrawn dangerous. I think it's he's very astute. He's picking up on all these details, and I guess the fascism does give that a trenchant edge. But yeah,
It's almost like, I don't know. It's like Thrawn is a cat playing with his prey right now, just waiting for him to make the wrong move.
yeah.
I also don't even like get much of that impression from Thrawn though, because he seems less like a schemer and more of an opportunist, like an observer.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever he like talks about his plans or like the information he divines, like who was on which ship, like who was on the ship that went to Kashyyyk, and who was still on the Millennium Falcon. I think he just like really pays attention to things and speculates as much information as he can from that, then rationalizes it and makes multiple possible plans based on that.
Yeah.
That's the impression I get from him. I mean, he does make plans as well, but like whatever his big thing with Sluis Van is.
Yeah.
But I feel like on his way to accomplishing his goals, he's very kind of sort of an improviser. Not really an improviser, more just like someone that's looking ahead at every possible opportunity and preparing for them.
Yeah. He does feel like that the chess player that's in the center of playing 5 different games of chess and beating everybody else.
Yes, yeah.
But no, I said quite a few chapters ago, like they keep banging this Lewis Span drum for a while, but I'm getting the feeling that this is going to be the final showdown of this book because it is a trilogy, right? So Lewis Span, I'm guessing, is the big showdown at the chapter 30 or 31, and then 32 we get the kind of like, oh well, what's the future going to look like? Well, I'm going to have to write another book about that. So.
And Thrawn was mad.
That's another thing. I keep forgetting that this is a trilogy, and I'm sure it's a planned trilogy. And I keep being like, I wish they would just give him more information. But it's like, there's 2 more that we got to read. He has 2 more books that he's trying to fill out here.
Yeah, there's also an overarching plan to restore the Empire. So, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
Got to really set all your MacGuffins out for.
So again, I keep forgetting this. Thrawn wants to restore the Empire, and he wants to lead it.
I imagine so.
Yeah. I can't see who else would be the Emperor unless there's going to be like a cloning situation.
Cloning seems a little far-fetched.
Cloning in Star Wars?
No.
No.
I mean, they did it before the Attack of the Clones. They did it in friggin' Legends with Sabaoth. So it's like, I don't know. And they even mentioned the Clone Wars in
one simple line in A New Hope about the Clone Wars.
Exactly.
And we got
and they just went wild with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Dark Empire is in 10 ABY, which is the next year after this.
Ooh.
So maybe Thrawn has.
I don't know what that is.
Well, the Dark Empire was the Emperor got cloned, and he says that he has like an essence transfer or something of a Sith ritual that puts his soul into the new body, but he is still gaining power inside the galactic core. And so there was a big, I can't remember if it was a trilogy or something, but it was a set of comics, and it was the first comics that I actually read in Star Wars, and it was so difficult because I wasn't used to the like the language of how time passes in comics, and so it felt really like condensed, and all this information was coming out of me so quickly that I can't say that I particularly enjoyed it, but I do want to go back and reread it because it was quite good, actually.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out at some point.
And so the Emperor comes back as a clone and is
really
fighting from the center of the galaxy rather than coming in from the outside. Because apparently the deep core is very hard to get to because there's a lot of gravitational anomalies and stuff like that. And
that's a cool concept. I feel like we go to the outer rim too often.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Let's go to Tatooine again.
Or a Tatooine clone like Jakku.
No, but that's really cool that like the idea of the deep core being incredibly hard to navigate because of all those forces. I like that a lot.
Well, I mean, even in our own universe, there's in our own Milky Way galaxy that we've got the supermassive black hole at the center, and then we've got huge stellar nurseries there as well. So stars are being born and dying all the time, that there's just so much radiation
Nice.
that, it'll be extremely inhospitable.
God, space is so cool.
Yeah.
So, and it makes sense that within the story that would be a place where, radiation, gravity, supernovas make it very uneconomical to even venture that way.
So that's why his skin is so bad.
So maybe Thrawn knows that the Emperor is trying to come back, so he's laying the groundwork for the Dark Empire to emerge and take back the galaxy.
That would make a lot of sense, because Thrawn doesn't seem like someone that wants to be an emperor to me.
No.
I think he enjoys the challenge of war. I think he enjoys the game.
I think he always wants to be maybe just a Grand Admiral.
Yeah. I think he would get really bored in peacetime. He joins a chess club and gets like really, really into it.
Chess club, yeah.
That, or he's going to start his own rebellion. In an alternate timeline, Thrawn is the leader of a rebellion against peaceful empire.
Or maybe he'll start his own podcast.
That's honestly a hilarious thought. All right, I conquered the galaxy with this empire. Now time to take it down. All right, so we end up leaving this chapter with Mara and Luke. Back to that lightsaber moment.
Yeah.
And I believe Thrawn mentions he's going to be sticking around a bit.
Does he?
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure what Thrawn is doing there.
I don't think he says it. I think he says that in the next chapter that they're gonna have to stay around. Yeah. But I don't think he actually mentions it to Karrde or anything. I think he's just talking to his subordinate, being like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to hang around for a few days and wait for them to come out of the jungle."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not actually sure if he's showing up just to put pressure on Karrde, since he said that he wouldn't help with the Luke Skywalker investigation. Yeah.
I like how things are converging now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to continue exploring those in the next chapter.
Yeah, I do like the new adventure with Mara and Luke, through the forest. I think that's interesting, and I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah, it is actually a pretty refreshing change of pace.
Yeah.
Because everything's just been like thriller, espionage, on the run stuff, and now it's Bear Grylls in space. Yeah.
Bear Grylls in space, and hopefully a bit of character development. So.
Yeah. I think we started seeing some cracks in Mara in this chapter.
Bear Grylls with somebody who wants to shoot him.
No. Mara is Bear Grylls.
Yeah, Mara's Bear Grylls. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Luke wouldn't last 10 minutes out here.
No, he would not. Especially not without the Force.
Right.
No, certainly not.
Yeah, because he thinks he can master everything without the Force, and then he crashes.
Doesn't realize how much he's leaning on that. Q Kreia.
This has been The Lost Holocron. You can find transcripts, links to discussions, and more at our website, lostholocron.com. While you are there, you can learn how you can support the creation of future episodes. Read on, and we will be waiting for you in the next transmission. We would be honored if you would join us.